Hi, my name is Jacob Van Horn, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my candidacy for the Historic Core resident seat on the Downtown Local Area Neighborhood Council. I'm running because I live in the Historic Core and I work here, and I love doing both. Currently, I'm the vice president of a commercial real estate brokerage, but I've also been a small business owner in the community, and now I would like to be your representative. When I say I want to be your Historic Core representative on Dlanc, what does that mean? Well, Dlanc is the Downtown Local Area Neighborhood Council. What the Neighborhood Council does is they represent all of the stakeholders of the district. Whether you live here, whether you work here, or whether you just have an interest in the community, we communicate to various city agencies our opinion on issues. Sometimes they ask us what those issues are, other times we volunteer their opinion. What Dlanc does not do is we do not pass ordinances and laws. I would love to pass a rent stabilization ordinance based on inflation. That would be something that would help the neighborhood. However, items like that aren't in our power. What is in our power is to make change by making your voice heard and representing what you want to the City Council, to the City of Los Angeles, to the county, or whatever agency we need to express our opinion to. Now, you may be wondering what my views on the issues are, because that is very important. I've been called a pro-development candidate, and that's very true. I am very in favor of continuing the growth that our neighborhood has seen over the last decade. However, I think we need to maintain responsible development. We can only build once in this generation, so we need to build structures that address the needs of every stakeholder in the neighborhood while not favoring one specific group of stakeholders unfairly. We need to build structures that preserve the historic nature of our neighborhood, yet still bring additional revenue, bring supply into our housing market. Everything is a balanced measure. There's no room for extremes on one side or the other when you're representing an entire neighborhood. I'm also in favor of increased parking in downtown Los Angeles. We should be moving to a car-free existence and encouraging people to not bring their cars into downtown. However, at the same time, we need to make sure that our parking prices aren't $300 or $400 a month 2 or 3 years from now. We need to work with developers to make sure that these are incorporated into plans, yet not in an unsightly way. Now, one of the big issues that everyone asks about is our homeless crisis. It's true that I'm not running for the Central City representative, but make no mistake, what's going on in Central City affects every district in the neighborhood. I will state that I am for the measures that the City Council took this past week to restrict daytime camping so that there can be no 24-hour tent encampments. I empathize with the plight of those camping on the street. At the same time, I've seen firsthand what happens when the gangs take over these neighborhoods and only allow residents to pitch tents on their territory when they're storing drugs and weapons for them in these. I've seen the news reports, as I'm sure you all have, of the BID employee that was stabbed, the woman that was shot to death in Skid Row while walking her dog, the elderly man in South Park that was nearly beaten to death. These actions have to stop. I listened to one of my neighbors who lived on the streets of Skid Row for 20 years addicted to narcotics until she courageously overcame that. She can account firsthand how the tents tether people to the street, how they lead to increased violence, how they do nothing but enable our homeless crisis. I listened to Sergeant Dion Joseph, who has been serving the Skid Row community for 20 years with LAPD. I listened to the staggering numbers he puts out since the tents went back up 24 hours a day of how deaths, of how homicides, overdoses, rapes, robberies have risen. We cannot continue to foster and enable this policy, which is good for no one. It is not good for the stakeholders of the Historic Core, and it's especially not good for the stakeholders of Skid Row. I listen to people like Betsy and like Sergeant Joseph who have no vested interest in raising their property values. They only care about their community, and I look to their example to lead on this. Ultimately, my views are not important. Yours are. I believe that my views strongly align with the majority of our community. However, I will be always open to listen and to express your views rather than solely my own. That is what my job would be if elected as your representative. I realize that I am in a very difficult election. I am running against a slate of 3 candidates who have banded together. What I ask that you do, instead of checking off 3 names on a box because they're running together, is listen to the views of each individual candidate and decide based on that. I realize that I could not have possibly answered all of your questions during this video, so what I encourage everyone to do is to reach out to me directly. You can either email me at jacob@dtlarealestate.com, or you can call or text my cell phone at 310-321-8818. And please remember, the first and most important thing to do to get involved is to register to vote, which you can do at empowerla.org. I look forward to everyone participating in this process, and I'm hoping for your vote on May 5th or in the 2 weeks before during online voting. Thank you very much.